So let's go back to 2006 because that's when it all started for you guys. So I'm going to throw up on the screen this happy, young, vibrant, energetic couple. And thinking back to 2006, what were you thinking then about this very traditional country Queensland news agency that you bought?
Oh, we were excited. We were back in our hometown. News agents were the goal. To own a news agent was always a goal, and we were so excited about taking it on and seeing what we could do with it.
And 2006 seems like ages ago, and as you say, news agencies were kind of the heart of the town. Let's just set the scene though. You're in Mount Morgan, about 30, 40 minutes out of Rockhampton, population sort of around the 2000 mark. Nearby your shop today, you've got a bakery, a dodgy pharmacy, a post office, an IGA, and 2 pubs, and that's pretty much Mount Morgan retail.
Pretty much.
And people who want to shop in Mount Morgan and see range, they'll think, oh, we can just head down the mountain to Rockhampton and, have access to everything that we want. So you took on this news agency and you've turned it into this business that you now call What'll Be Next. Why did you change the name to What'll Be Next?
Because that was the thing that everyone used to say to us. You never know what'll be next in here. Don't know what you guys are going to do next.
And so that
Wattle
name
is synonymous with the town. We have our own Wattle called Mount Morgan Silver Wattle. So it's a play on words as well with that.
And the sign, news, lifestyle, fashion, coffee, tea, refreshments. We'll get to the coffee in a moment. But as you go into the shop and turn left, there's this change room, which, I mean, to me, that tells me a number of things about the business. First of all, it's not your traditional news agency. Secondly, you guys, being in a small business in a country town, funds are limited. So you have to do a lot of stuff yourselves. And you've created this sort of change room space, kind of out of nothing. And it's kind of how you guys have gone about building this business, isn't it? Getting down and dirty with your hands on the shop floor.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, Schae doesn't come from a carpentry background or anything like that. He does come from an industrial background, but he's still not a carpenter, but he'll jump in and have a go. He's very good at YouTubing things. But yeah, he'll jump in and just, do things and knock things together and knock things down, put things up, and that's how we do it.
And you trained as an accountant.
Yeah.
So you got an industrial person and an accountant deciding we're going to change the world with news agencies.
Yeah, exactly.
So on that left-hand side, right next to the change room, we've got this range of giftware here. And I just wanted to zoom in on this. You've got these shelves here. And what's interesting is none of this looks like traditional retail fixtures. You bought those, I think you said, on Facebook Marketplace?
Yeah, Facebook Marketplace, old scaffolding shelves out of a poor refrigeration unit.
Paying very little for it. Now, when I was there, and as you step in the front door of the shop, though, you see this. And I know I'm going to what used to be identified as a news agency, but now I'm in part fashion, part gift. I can see some magazines in the far corner. I can see the coffee sign down the back. This is a very different feel.
It is a very different feel. And literally I've lost, you lose track of the number of times a day you hear it. People will walk through the door and they'll go, is this the news agent? And you'll go, yeah, here it is. And they will be like, oh, okay. Oh my God, this shop's amazing. And
see, sorry for jumping in. I think this is an important point that you're making, because historically in Australia, we think, oh, news agencies, they're great, good local businesses. But the reality is what we make off papers and magazines doesn't pay the rent and doesn't pay the wages. So it's been very important for engaged news agents to break out of that and to become whatever they can be in their local town. And in your case, it's this business that we can see in front of us.
Yeah. And that's something we recognised a long time ago, that there was never a future in newspapers. I mean, when we first came to the shop, Facebook wasn't even a thing. By reading newspapers online wasn't a thing. Buying Lotto online wasn't a thing. It all came in after we've bought the shop. And, as each one of those things happened, it was, we need to be prepared for the next thing. And we need to stay one step in front of it to replace each one of those things that was a traffic driver before, to replace it with something else.
And look, I'll jump in now with a question I was going to ask towards the end, but it's sort of relevant at the moment. Anybody, because I know, you're looking at selling the business. And so if somebody was looking at this, they might look at it and say, oh God, this looks too hard to run. My understanding is that the way you run the business, you've got some challenges. You can't be on the shop floor. So the business is basically run on a day-to-day basis in the shop by staff. And
Yeah.
you have a little bit of involvement primarily in placing orders for stock and making decisions about pricing. It's not rocket science to run a business like this, is it?
No, no. And we've got a brilliant team of staff. The staff, the community love the staff, and they own it. We do have regular staff meetings. They have a lot of input into what we're buying, into what we're sourcing, into, because they're the ones talking to the customers. They're the
Yeah.
ones knowing what the customers want. So yeah.
The other comment that I'd make in just looking at this photo is I'm reminded of I was there years ago and you had just made some changes to the shop and you said, oh, don't worry about the floor. We're going to, I think, carpet it or cover it with something. And I said, leave the floor the way it is. And I'm so glad you did because it really helps the shop feel warm and comforting to see the floor like that.
Yeah, and it is, and it's because also the town we're in is a very old historical town, so it just adds to that whole feeling of that they've come to a heritage area
Yeah.
in an old town.
Now, you were just saying before we started filming this that from when I was here, less than a week ago, a lot of these clothes have already sold,
Yeah, but a
which
lot have
is great.
sold, and then we've also had a top up order come in as well.
Yep. So we've moved from clothes, and then right down the back of the shop, what's this? You've got a coffee shop.
We do indeed, and coffee is one of our biggest traffic drivers these days. We probably, yeah, I our coffee sales far outnumber our newspaper sales and what our newspaper sales would have ever have been.
And I
So
know from looking at your own business data that your coffee sales and your related food sales, they're growing really, really well.
absolutely, double digit year on year growth every year.
So you've got the coffee, you do milkshakes and things like that. You've got the food, the warm food there. And then you've got the other side of the coffee. Really wonderful range. It looks like a coffee shop. And I can buy a coffee and then go and sit at one of the tables in the shop and just relax and enjoy that.
Absolutely. We've got two bay window seats that look out onto the street.
Yep.
And they're probably our most popular seats in the
Yep.
house. Everyone just loves the whole people gazing, sitting and looking out the window and, yeah, watching the world go by.
Again,
But,
this doesn't
and
feel
it's
like a news
become,
agency. Doesn't feel
no,
like a news agency at all. Um,
yeah,
at the end of the counter, to give the staff some privacy, you've got this really nice kind of Aussie finished, Aussie looking sort of
it,
wall there that's nice and secure.
it's
Um,
waffle and bees.
yep. Oh, nice. Okay.
There's bees cut out in that, and there's waffle.
You've got some cooking tools and you've got various spices and things like that.
That's all local product too. That's all made just down the road at Yeppoon. So it's got that real local vibe to it, that it's all different spices
Yep.
and food bases. But yeah,
And
because
then
it's local.
in the fridge opposite the counter, you've got sort of ready to eat food, fruit cup. Then you've got these spices here that you're just talking about.
Yeah.
Really nice mix there.
Yeah.
Um, and you've got these new cookies that you just sourced.
We
And you
had those
mentioned,
new cookies. They've sold out.
have they really already?
Yes. Yes.
Um, you mentioned about honey. Now you've been able to source this local honey here, but you didn't just source the honey, you put it with a range of mugs and various other bee-related products to tell a better story.
Yeah. And because we're in an area where we're finding people are doing the whole escape to the country, they're doing the tree change. Everybody wants to have their garden and their veggie patch and all of that sort of thing. Like we're doing bee books, we're doing honey keeping books, we're doing everything on, all the gardening and lifestyling, ranching books. It's also selling really well to go in with that theme.
And I can see here the fixture you're using, it's not, again, a traditional shop fit fixture. It's just a piece of furniture that you put the products on.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just an old kitchen hutch that
Yep.
we've had forever.
Makes sense. Now, this is the other side, and this is one of the tables that you have. Um,
Mhm.
And then you've got other multiple tables. You can kind of in the corner there see you've got one bay window there and you've got another one over here.
Yep.
How many times do you have people coming sitting at this table, just having a coffee and having a natter and something to eat?
Constantly. It was actually a really rare day for you to catch it without anybody at it. Usually Saturday and Sunday mornings, the whole area will be full and people will sit out on the footpath because we won't have any space at the inside tables. The beauty of that big table is it's become a bit of a meeting place. So anyone who tends to dine alone but wants a bit of company and wants to have a chat to someone will usually take up a spot at that. And usually you'll find within 5 minutes someone's come along and joined them and they've introduced themselves and they're having a chat, and it grows from there. And it's actually become like a real, there's been some good friendships formed and people have got formed a support network basically. Yeah.
And even sometimes I've seen you have people combine and do jigsaws on the table.
We usually do have a jigsaw, but we haven't had the jigsaw out for a little while because the last time we had, because the table is so popular, the last time we had it there, a few people scrunched it up and moved it out of the way.
Yep.
So we were like, oh, we'll rest the jigsaw.
Now, in this part of the shop, at the kind of the other end, away from the tables where people sit and eat, there were these A-frame fixtures. Now, am I right in saying that you kind of recovered those from a farm or something?
Yeah, they were just laying in the backyard of the shop next door.
Oh, the shop next door. And you just said, look, it's waste. Let's go and put it to good use.
We'll have those. They're old painters' trestles.
Yeah.
And we just had to alter them around a little bit so that you had parallel shelving, and we just used the scaff on them. So they're rusty old parallel. And, we've had those now, for a few years, and we still I keep thinking at some point they're going to look not right. And we still get complimented on them. Oh, I love your shelves. Oh, these are great,
Fantastic. And you can see in the back there, the magazines sitting on some pallets and some pretty basic timber shelving, but that's all they need because people can see them, they can see the full cover, and the thing, you don't make much money out of magazines, so why give them prime retail space?
Yeah. So it's pallets, and the back ledge that it's made out of is also pallets on an angle with just boards added to hold them up.
You've got a really nice country feel to the signage that you're using within the shop. I also notice you've kept the old COVID arrows. Do people follow those arrows?
Yes, I only had a customer on the weekend tell his wife she was walking the wrong way and to go back.
Now tell me, you've got,
and they were tourists.
We're back up near the coffee section. You've got some really nice handbags here, and some purses. Do people buy them from this stand?
Yep, people will buy from there. But I mean, we're constantly moving them around and putting them in other locations as well. Yep. But yeah, that stand had probably only been there a week or so. But they'll buy off that stand all the time.
And with the arrows, the thing I think that's interesting about that is, with successful coffee retail, it's about traffic management and moving people through pretty quickly.
Absolutely. And that's the hardest part, because they'll want to stand and wait right at the counter for their coffee. And because we are a bit of everything, you've got your lottery and your newspaper customers, not wanting to wait for that person getting a coffee. Yep. So it's really important to keep that flow going.
I forgot I do have this better photo of the magazines. When I get asked from news agents about getting a magazine unit made, a magazine unit made by a shop fitter to fill that much space that we can see in this photo is going to cost you $6,000 or $7,000. And here you've been able to do it for kind of nothing, which is the way it should be done.
Really, yeah.
Anyway, let's get out of there. Magazines are they're there, but they're old school stuff. What is this? Is this self-care?
It is. It's oils, it's crystal. We've got a huge crystal and oil and new age market.
So you've got the atomizer, the air thing sort of giving
pumping out the oil.
So that gives a really nice scent in the shop.
Yeah. And the girls will mix that up every day, and they'll
Okay.
talk about, like, everyone will walk in and go, oh, what's that smell? And generally you're selling the oil straight away from what
And
they've mixed in it.
is this an old kitchen unit or dining room unit that you've got?
The bottom part is an old kitchen hutch, very similar to the one that was down there a minute ago. And the two things on the wall are just pellets that Schae's just remodeled into shelving.
Right. You know, again, it shows something. You've got also this incredible display of greeting cards. These are all full face, and you
Yeah.
guys made this yourselves, didn't you?
Yep, we just took the old tiered pocket look off our old John Sands, I think, put it in many, many moons ago. Took the tiers off, and Schae just got MDF and he'd know the name of the timber, and just made that up himself.
Yep.
So
It's a really nice way to see cards because I don't have to pull them out. I can see the front, and then if I want to see what's inside, I've got the option to do that. You've also got a number of what I would call visual textures in the shop. You know, on the left-hand side, you've got that kind of older dining room table type look, and over here on the right-hand side, it's an old cable
cable
reel
reel. Yeah.
of all things, and you've
Yeah.
turned this cable reel into a display table for gifts.
Yeah.
Which is nice and efficient space-wise. And then this table over here, you've got sort of some more traditional sort of gifts on it.
Yeah.
So visually, I'm not confronted by this, again, sort of industrial shop fitter view of a shop. I've got something that feels a lot more warm and appealing.
Yeah. And we just use a lot of different things to get height and texture into the displays and be able to have different range in there. We'll use I think there you can see we've got some wire baskets that I bought from
Yeah.
Kmart, and we just use them one way one time and another way the next, and old crates and different things just to add height and texture and depth to displays.
Sometimes when people are looking at buying a shop, they think, oh, I'm not a retailer. I don't know much about retail. And the reality is with retail today, and I think as your shop shows, all the rules are out. You create a space that's enjoyable, that's comforting and appealing, and the rest will happen. It doesn't have to be this slick shop that's going to look like a Kmart, because Kmart does Kmart, and that's them. This retail here, this local indie small town retail, I think is far more appealing. It's more of that kind of what we'd call treasure hunt retail experience.
Absolutely. And that's what, we hear that constantly from customers. Oh, I love just going through here. You never know what you'll find. And you've always got interesting bits and pieces. And I
Yep.
think it's because they're not walking up and down an aisle like you do in Kmart, where everything's categorized and everything. And they're doing that treasure hunt where they're like, oh, what's this bit? Oh, what's that? And they'll notice things because of the way it's laid out that other
Yeah.
shops might have. And you think, I'm not the only person with this. This product isn't made just for Mount Morgan. Other people have it, but the way it's displayed in other places, they don't see it.
Yeah. And how often would you change, for example, what's on this table here?
I really don't like things to sit anywhere probably more than 3 weeks to a month.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll mix things up and change things around again.
Yep. So we're now at the back of the shop. So the coffee counter is over to the right, and we're looking towards the front door. So people can see it's a long shop, and then you've got the same space, or almost the same space, over on the other side.
Yeah.
And it's just got such a warm feeling.
Yeah. And it's that you want to have that cozy where they just feel comfortable and happy to browse and happy to walk around and just chill.
Yeah.
Yeah. We did start with just one shop. We were just that one single shop, and we knocked the hole out and went into the shop beside us
Yep.
when we first started. So, yeah.
With the range of gifts that you carry, how challenging is it to keep evolving that range to be current, if you like?
Look, it's challenging and it's not challenging. I think that's the part of owning the shop that I actually enjoy is that, I don't know, you call it the thrill of the chase, or just to constantly be staying on top of trends and knowing, you know, what's coming and knowing what your customers are actually going to want.
Yep.
So, but I mean, we get the support from newsXpress as well, like constantly getting information from you guys on new preferred suppliers, on when you travel and go overseas and looking at, you know, what you found over there. And so, I mean, it's the backup and support that you get through that also takes, I suppose, the challenge away from it.
So you've been there for 18 years.
Yep.
And I know you're looking to sell now. And, you know, thinking about the kind of person who you think could buy the business, do they have to have retail experience?
No.
And what's the hardest part of the business to learn?
To know your customers, to get to
Yeah.
know what your customers want, would be the hardest part of the business to learn.
Yep.
I think if you've got a drive and a will and a passion to run your own business, then that's the hardest part.
And look, I don't want to turn people off, but if you could speak to Kerrilyn and Schae from 2006, I think it was, what would you say to them?
I'd say to Kerrilyn, don't have the surgery in 2012 that you had. That's what I'd say.
Right.
But you know, I probably wouldn't. Apart from that, I probably wouldn't change anything.
Yep.
I'm really happy with what we've done.
Yep.
What we've managed to contribute, the feedback we constantly get from people.
Yep.
So yeah,
What's
it would
something that
be
happened in the business that at the time, like something, whether it's something, an interaction with a customer or something happened that really, you know, you're like, I can't do this. I mean, I'll tell you, my story was a a mother came in with her child, and I kind of noticed them in the corner. And then as she left, she said, "Oh, there's a shit in the far corner. You're going to need to clean that up." I didn't understand what she was meaning. And then when I went and had a look, she was actually
he
meaning,
was actually meaning.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's what the kid
Ah, can't say we've ever had that happen.
had.
Um, we've had some pretty shitty attitudes. That might sum it up.
Oh, you don't get
So,
shitty attitudes from customers, do you?
oh no, never, never. So that is probably just, that would be your largest frustration, I think, as a small business operator in a small community, is working so hard to try and have things for people, and then they don't come to you first.
Yeah.
That's the
But
first
hey,
option.
that's country retail, and
That's
we have to do.
country retail.
What's the
Exactly.
thing? What's the thing you've loved the most? Are you going to say it's the people as well?
I am, as corny, like cliche, corny as it is,
Yeah.
it is the people, because, you know, they've watched our kids grow up. They feel as though our kids are part of their life. They want to know what they're doing. The genuine care and concern for you. You know, so for as much as there's some shitty people out there, there's probably a lot more not shitty people.
Yeah. Um, and you know, it's sort of hard to say what's going to change, but things keep changing. So what do you think is kind of the next change to look at or deal with in a business like you've got?
Oh, look, with this business, I think if anyone wanted to take the food and the coffee side of it further, but realistically, the way the town has expanded, the way the town is going to expand, our gold mine's about to kick back in again. They're reconstructing that. We've been in drought for the last 5 years getting water trucked in. So we've got a pipeline going in that'll be operational by next year. So now everyone can garden again and water and do all that sort of stuff. It rained at Christmas time, so we've our own water, our own water supplies back, so we can garden again.
Yep.
Those sorts of things, the impact that has on the psychology of a town is immeasurable.
Yeah.
Water is just Incredible. So there's so much avenue. And like I mentioned, touched on it before, there's so many people doing the tree change thing here.
Yep.
They're selling up, they've got a big nest egg and they're coming to the country.
I'd like to go back to coffee because that kind of ties in with what you're talking about and the approach you've taken. Because we spoke years and years ago and you were thinking about coffee and you put in, I think, a press button machine.
Yeah.
And then you went to a next level, slightly better
Yeah.
press button machine. As you made these changes, it kept on going and kept on
Yeah.
growing. And
Yeah.
then you're like, okay, next level for us is going to be, we need to learn how to be a barista, or each of us how to be baristas. And that's what you did.
Yeah.
So, you knew you wanted to do coffee. You weren't sure where to start. So you started somewhere safe to see if there was a market for it.
Yeah.
You expanded on that, and then you expanded. So now you're a full bore coffee shop creating some pretty clever coffees that people
Yeah.
are clearly loving. And
Yeah.
you've had in town, you've had competitors come and go, and you outlast them in the coffee space.
Every time. Every time. Biggest rule, start as you mean to continue and stay consistent.
Yep.
Every time.
Yep.
And just keep improving.
And you do tea as well, and you've got a lot. I'm right in saying that you source your tea locally?
We have changed our tea supplier, but it's in line with our coffee supplier now. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
But our chai is it's starting to really be our growth area because we get a chai that we get in from Melbourne. No one else in Central Queensland does it. And yeah, that's the one thing that it's really taking off because it's the real deal.
Um, is there any kind of, I guess, final insight that you would share with another retailer, particularly, let's say we're talking to a retailer who is in a traditional, long-established, well-established business. They can see change around them, but they're happy with the established business they have. Given you've played against that, you've gone outside the establishment, what would you say to them?
Don't be scared to try something different.
Yeah.
And don't think that your customer won't want it or that they won't pay for it or that because somebody else in town is doing it, you can't do it.
Yeah.
I suppose, your competitor is yourself the day before, and you compete with what you did yesterday. And you don't worry about anything else that's going on around you.
Yeah.
What others are doing, you set the unique target and you go for that.
Yep. I think one of the interesting things that you do is you've got, in a gift shop, people would be able to buy, say, crockery or serving spatulas or whatever. I know I'm not saying the right things, but what you've got is those things, plus you've got some things that I can, like some spices and things like that, I can add to the food.
Yep.
And so I can package up a nice gift that's got a number of things and it's not just a singular thing. So it's more
Yep.
interesting. I think there's got some more depth to it. And I think
Yep.
that's interesting.
Yeah, and that's one of the areas we're going into now is more into a hamper style of gift option as well. So the staff are literally working on that as we speak. You must have read my mind. But yeah, a lot more in the hamper space, even down to, I left it to the staff and I just said to them, look, I want hampers done. I want to have so a customer can walk in here if they too hard to think, they can just pick something up. So, do some hampers. And one of the hampers that the girls come back with was a affirmations Aussie slang pack,
Mm-hmm.
a passport holder,
Mm-hmm.
and smelly balls. And I looked at it and I thought, that is weird. And then I thought, no, it's not, because we constantly have overseas travelers coming through. We constantly have backpackers coming and working at the pub and those sorts of things. And when they leave, someone wants to buy them a gift. And I mean, nothing is more Aussie than Aussie slang, smelly balls, and then you can give them a new passport holder that they'll carry with them and forever remember where they were.
People
So
watching this, and maybe who aren't in the gift space are now going to be tempted to Google Smelly
Smelly
ball.
balls.
So good luck with that Google search. Hey,
Be prepared.
so the shop is Wattle Next in Mount Morgan in Central Queensland.
Central
Central
Queensland.
Queensland.
Yep.
Thanks, Kerrilyn, for telling us a bit about the story. And hopefully you sell the business soon and you can head to that beach and relax and do nothing and be a kept woman.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Thank you.
I don't know if I could ever be a kept woman, but yeah, relaxing sounds good.
All right. See ya.
No worries. Thank you.